basically a very quick summarization of a project that's been going on for some years now in the Chukchi and the Beaufort. I've been coordinating with the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation and with researchers at UAF, basically to do bioeffects assessment on the Chukchi Sea, the Beaufort Sea, and the estuaries up in there. So depending on who you talk to, if you talk to me, I'll talk about the bioeffects assessment. If you talk to the UAF folks, they'll call it the National Petroleum Reserve Alaska Coastal Survey because they get their funding from BOEM through AIC. Or the Department of Environmental Conservation, who's doing what they call it the Alaska Monitoring and Assessment Program, which is a statewide long-term kind of project that EPA funds for their coastal condition reports. So anyway, but all of our methods are basically the same. We have common goals and we all have compatible methods, so we've been working together for the last several years on this. And if you're not familiar with it, Status and Trends is sort of a two related projects, the Bioeffects and the Mussel Watch. Mussel Watch monitors chemical contamination in mussels around the country on an annual basis to look at trends, long-term kind of trends, both organic materials, chlorinated pesticides, heavy metals, a variety of different chemicals. We can also add chemicals in particular areas if they're, questionable spots or, flame retardants, for example, we've done in some places. But the thing that Bioeffects does is it tells you whether or not, the Mussel Watch tells you whether concentrations are increasing or decreasing, but it doesn't tell you if it's bad or good. So the Bioeffects efforts are basically to answer that kind of a question. What is the degree of impact? Is it high enough concentrations that there are problems, or is it low enough concentrations that there are not problems? And we look at water quality, we look at sediment chemistry, we look at toxicity, we look at benthic community condition, and we look at resident animal body burdens. We have been doing, well, NOAA, not just me, but NOAA's been doing this for many decades, a couple of decades, and we have stations up and down the East Coast, from Boston all the way down to Florida, down to Biscayne Bay, and out into Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands as well. We have stations all along the Gulf Coast. We have more stations than that from Deepwater Horizon. We went out and we covered everything from Galveston to Key West, basically with 4 teams of people before and after the oil hit shore. Then we have stations out on the West Coast in the estuaries, Puget Sound, San Francisco, and the LA, San Diego area. We have stations out in Hawaii as well. And now we have a project actually in Guam on the other side. You can't even see it on the map for a PCB spill up there. But for the last several years, I've been working up in Ketchikan Bay and Cook Inlet with a variety of partners. We've just finished a project in Bristol Bay, and we've been working for the last 5 years or so with, as I say, DEC and UAF in the Arctic. And what we've been doing up there is to look at the coastal area between the lease areas and the shore, because there's been a lot of work done on all the lease areas, of course, but there hasn't been quite as much work done on the coastal zone and very little in the estuaries. Part of the reason that the state is interested in this and we're interested in this is that you're going to have to bring in pipelines if they get oil up there. And of course, at the time when we started all this, Shell was considerably more interested than they appear to be now. But still, if I don't think exploration is dead there forever, and tankers would not survive the ice up there. So you have to bring in pipelines somewhere. So we were looking at the coastal zone where that might occur. And this is just a quick summary of all the different stations that we've sampled. We did from Point Hope up to Icy Cape in 2010. 2011 did Icy Cape up to Barrow. In 2012, we had a piggyback on a NOAA vessel, the Fairweather, one of the charting vessels, and we were able to get some selected stations in 2012 and go back and try to hit Barrow Canyon, which we unfortunately couldn't get good samples in 2011. And this past year, we did estuaries at Icy Cape, in Cuck Lagoon at Wainwright, in Purd Bay, east of Barrow in Admiralty Inlet and Dease Inlet, Admiralty Bay and Dease Inlet, Smith Bay, and we were going to try and get up to Harrison Bay, but the ice was such that we couldn't get the ship in there. The other stations that we sampled were here at Shell. Here at Wainwright, because Shell said, you know, if they're going to put in pipelines, that's where they were going to go. So we took a couple of transects of samples there, and at all these stations we have benthic fauna, we have epifauna from beam trawls, we have water quality casts, video from the bottom, plankton toes, and of course we got all the sediment chemistry that we're doing. We're not doing bioassays because up here we don't necessarily expect to see any problems, although we didn't expect to see problems in Bristol Bay, and we did, primarily from effluents from all the salmon canning factories build up huge amounts of ammonia, which is not one of our normal chemical that we monitor, but we find that there are some problems in that area. So there may be issues up here, but at this point we don't have the only leg of the stool we don't have up here is toxicology. But so this is our sampling coverage, and all the data is available to anybody who may want it. The 2015 data, of course, is not yet available because we haven't got the results back from the lab. But all the rest of it is going to be on our website or DEC's. And that's pretty much all I had.
Thank you so much, Ian, again. Are there any questions for him?
I have a question. This is Natalie.
Hey, Natalie.
Did you do any more radionuclides?
Did we do any what?
Radionuclides?
No, we didn't. I know the state's been looking at that out in the Aleutians after Fukushima, and they did in fact find a bunch of increases, not high enough to be worried about, but we haven't looked at them up here, no.
Any other questions for Ian? I have one quick question. Do you have any reports or publications that are coming out of this project?
At this point, all we have are a couple of cruise reports because we haven't got the data for this past year together. So I don't know if we're going to have a different report for each year. I suspect we'll have more of a grand finale report when it all becomes available. We may do a separate report for the offshore and the estuarine stuff. But at this point, no, there's just cruise reports that are available on the website, Department of Environmental Conservation's website. They're available.
All right. Thank you. And if anything will come up, please let me know, and we'll make sure to give those reports or papers some face time on the IRPIC collaborations website.
Okay.
I have one more question, if it's okay. This is Kathy. Hi, Ian.
Hey, Kathy.
I was wondering, when you went out and sampled over time, I know this has been a long project, have you done any outreach or education in the communities?
We have done some outreach, basically, especially this past year, because we were in close and into fishing grounds and that sort of thing. But we haven't done anything concerted. We haven't done a really concerted effort on that yet, other than making sure that everybody knew we were coming last year. Because, like I said, we were coming, you know, in a small boat inshore. We were off the Ron Brown, but we didn't bring we didn't bring the ship in there.
Great, thanks. Well, it's going to be interesting to see when the papers come out and poke around on the website too. And I know that Shayna Wisdom is on the phone with Fairweather, who's been project manager or primary lead for our Anamita project over in the Beaufort. Right. So it seems like there could be some connectivity, or at least some conversations across those two projects.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Any other questions?
Jeremy Casper from UAS is the chief scientist on that, so he would be a contact.
Who is that? At least me, I cannot hear. It sounds a very metallic voice. If you can try to fix, can you repeat?
Shayna's got a cold. This is Kathy Guillermo, and she recommended that Jeremy Casper is the lead PI for the Anamida project that BOEM funds. You know, it's our long-term monitoring in the Beaufort Sea. And I think that, you know, one of two things comes to mind is we'll connect Ian and Jeremy, but we might see if at some point down the line when we get to other business today, if Jeremy could give a presentation.
Excellent. Thank you, Kathy. And if there are no other questions for Ian, thank you so much, Ian.